Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back up in this thing, and I'm coming at you at a different time, man. Yeah, work schedule has changed, so now I'm a day walker with the rest of yous. So now, man, gonna have to find some time, probably around this time at night, to start popping these bad boys out. Today is a bud heavy day, and you're gonna see you're fixing to see why here in a little bit. But for now, You know, I was driving home today, and maybe this is kind of contributing to why this is a butt heavy day. But I was driving home today, and I was just about there, and I have a very hellacious commute for work. It's usually about it's close to about it's close to about 2 hours one way. So yeah, I spend a lot of time in cars. But when you drive that much every day, when you get to that home stretch where you're starting to, see some of the landscape and features of that let you know you're close to home, it's like a mental kind of. It feels good. So it's almost like a weight is released. And the only thing that throws a big ass monkey wrench in all of that and just fucks it all up is when you see roadway construction. Now, there's supreme irony in me saying that, mainly that my job is connected to that. However, one of my least favorite things about these situations is sometimes you get fucking dickhead detours. And a dickhead detour, for those who are not familiar with the vernacular of Planet Hog, by the way, welcome. It is your planet. It is my planet. But you know what? It's not Jenny Durkin's planet. Planet Hog coming back at you. So one of the things that bothers me are what I call dickhead detours, where you have a main road, like I'm coming down the main road to where I live, and they're doing construction on it. Okay, fine, understand. But and I understand what comes with it. Narrow lanes, more traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So I get that, right? I'm not one of those people that complain about potholes but then complain about construction. It's like the people who, after 9/11, they're like, okay, well, we need tighter security. Then when they get pulled over for extra security checks, they're like, well, why am I being pulled over? Why are you checking me? So, okay, well, and you know what? There is credence to their argument depending upon what they look like, but maybe another episode for that. Now, I'm driving home, and of course, there's detour along the main road, but it is a dickhead detour. And so I'm driving. There's the roadblock says, "Hey, you can't move here. Detour, turn right." Okay, so I turn right, and I'm driving, and I'm driving, and I'm driving, and I'm driving, and I drove maybe about 3 miles before I was like, "Okay, this is a dickhead detour." Meaning they blocked you off the main road, but they didn't give you any signs to get you back on the course you were going. They just kind of said, can't drive here, figure it out. So, after spending approximately 15 minutes navigating back channels, I made it home. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, dickhead detours, there you go. But I didn't come here to talk to you about that. Today, I actually wanted to talk to you about something I saw on Friday. And, oh man, it is quite possibly the most infuriating and racist thing on the internet. It's both. And, there's some kind of. It's not like those two things are. It's hard to conceive something that would be both of those things, but this is certainly that. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce you to a publication. From what I can tell, it's a media website. It's called The Cut. Okay. And there's not a whole lot about this. I've actually done a little bit of cursory research on The Cut to kind of figure out what the hell it is. Because when you go to their website, it just reads like a liberal website, right? So you go to the website right now, and you have three older white ladies passing a bong, smoking, and laughing. So, okay, right there. It's countercultural, right? It's supposed to be edgy, right? It's irreverent. So, okay, you get it. You get it, right? So you scroll this website. I'm scrolling it now, and the next thing that pops up, of course, is take a guess. If you guessed Black Lives Matter, you're correct. And it says Black Lives Matter. To our audience, our colleagues, family, friends, and family, we cannot continue with business as usual, and neither should you. Our statement. I'm not going to click their horseshit statement because I don't want to, but we're going to keep moving. And it says, we are the next great storytelling company, but talk is cheap. Check out our work. And maybe we'll come back to this. Maybe I'll need to build up something to do this. But anyway, you scroll down, it says our brand. So there's Cut. There's another brand called Hee-Ho, which is written in pseudo rainbow font. We can maybe guess what that is. And maybe not rainbow is not the right word. It's a 4-letter word, Hiho, and each word is a different color. So there you go. Then there's another brand called This Matters. And there's another brand called 100 Years of Beauty. So from the looks of that, you can't really get a grasp of what it is. And the website is pretty anemic in terms of its features. Like they have the brands, they have their collaborations, they have a watch tab, they have a jobs tab, and they have a games tab. So you really don't know what it is, which is also a hallmark that it's a liberal website, right? Because the purpose is not stated. So they can kind of flow in and out of whatever they want to push. All right, fine. So I scoured the internet a little bit, and by scoured I mean I did a basic Boolean search on Google, or I'm sorry, Bing. I don't Google, I Bing. So anyway, I get this here. The Cut is part of New York website, launched in 2008 to replace previous Fashion Week blog, show, and talk. The Cut was relaunched in 2012 as a standalone website, shifting in focus from fashion to women's issues more generally. Stella Bugbee became editor-in-chief in 2017. It is published by Vox Media. So there you go. Tells you everything you need to know there. Shifting focus from fashion to women's issues. That's kind of funny to me, right? That's like, I don't know. If it was a guy's publication, it's like, okay, well, we're shifting our focus from fixing shit to shit that guys do. Okay. Anyway, so when I see women's issues, whenever I see one of these ambiguous kind of umbrella terms, my guards immediately go up for the Rainbow Coalition, for feminism, and for basically all the tenets, right? All of the spokes on the wheel of what liberals call neoliberalism, what we call leftists, right? So, anyhow, with that preface, I want to introduce you to something I saw on YouTube. It is a video made by The Cut, and it is published on their channel. Their channel just says Cut. I encourage you to go see it. It currently has, what do we have here? 111,000 thumbs down to 7.9 thousand thumbs up. But the question, or this video, it's a relatively quick video in terms of its time. Now, in terms of its enduring it, it's very long. But we're going to go through it a little bit today. We'll see how far we get. I'm going to try to get through the whole thing, but I reserve the right to stop at the point where I just can't take anymore. So, the title of this video... Okay, the title of this video is, So What Exactly Are White People Superior At? Excuse me, and I'm going to take a swig. So, first things first. I immediately lose a little bit of respect. Maybe not a little bit. A solid amount of respect for anyone who's intelligence who ends a sentence with the word at. whether it's a question or a statement. Ending a sentence with at is just grammatically incorrect. And it just sounds goofy. It sounds stupid. That's where I'm at. That's how I got where I'm at. There is literally no sentence you can say that ends with at, or question you can ask that ends with at, that doesn't sound like it comes from a stupid person. So keep that in mind, I guess. All right, moving forward, we're going to get through this video, but let me give you a little bit of a prelude to this video. As you cannot see it, I will include the link, of course, in the description box, so you can go enjoy this barrel of misery and horseshit for yourself. But since it is a radio podcast, you can't necessarily see it as I'm seeing it. So let me give you a just a basic understanding of what the setting is here. So what we have is a gray screen, just like a generic background, the kind, that they have when they just interview people or people give like little quick snippets. And in this video, we have a bunch of black and a few Hispanic people, and maybe a couple of like East Asian, like Indian or Arab, and then a bunch that just look blended, a bunch of thises and that's, being asked the question, what exactly are white people superior at? And they're giving their answer. Okay. And one of the things I noticed immediately, which you may be able to perceive from hearing it, but if you go see it for yourself, you will absolutely be able to see it, is that there's really not a straight person in sight here, right? These are all the, how do we put this? These are all the kinds of black people that CNN likes and employs, right? They're either really brash, boorish, intentionally defeminized women, or really, really effeminate men, / gay, / might be, right? So, one of the things I noticed immediately. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to get into this, and yeah, let's just dive in. Let's just get this party started. Here we go.
Exactly are white people superior at?
Oh, well, according to television, everything. A white man could fly. Even a white woman, she could be 4'1". She knew karate. She could take down 15 people.
Okay, right off the bat there, I want you to notice two things. The second thing I guess I noticed is the narrator. That doesn't sound like a black person. As a matter of fact, if I was a betting man, and I am, I would bet that is a white liberal who's poking the bear, so to speak. And this is one of the things that why I rail so hard against these people. And no, they're not all bad. I have some friends who are white liberals. But the overwhelming majority of the problems, especially of the racial nature, they come from white liberals, period, point blank. There is no comparison. Maybe there was a time when it was a different way, but we're not in those times now. Just like there was a time when people's primary means of getting around was a horse and a carriage. And obviously that's not the case now. Times change. So immediately, I'm willing to bet this is a white liberal female. And this is one of the frustrations of dealing with people and trying to explain my point of view to, especially to other black people. It's like, how long will you allow them to play you? Can you not see the game that's being played here? Okay, let me walk you through it. You have a white liberal provocateur who knows that they're basically egging you on and encouraging you to say intentionally racist things. Now, they will get far more racist than the young lady who was just speaking, who doesn't understand how acting works. But they're intentionally egging you on, these white liberals, this white liberal female specifically, to say intentionally racist and stereotypical, basically racially incendiary comments, right? Understanding that what's the law? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that there will be people who see this And for all intents and purposes, the only reason the country's not in a war and or a race war is because conservatives have moved to becoming peaceful people. Now, that's an interesting transition because I remember around the 2000s, the conservatives were the war hawks ready to fight everybody. Anyhow, so they're getting you to say these things, understanding that there are people who are going to be offended by it. As a matter of fact, I would wager that's the whole point of this whole stupid charade, is to offend people. Why? So they can react. And then when they react, which they would be justified in doing so, right? If, again, it's actually a conversation I had with, well, I don't know if I'd call him a friend. He's more of an acquaintance. But he got in trouble from his job because, long story short, he got into an altercation with some guy. And he was like, well, the guy, he used a racial slur against me. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, why? He was like, well, I called him a name. So, okay. So he called, and basically as the story goes, as I understand it, he got mad at this guy. So he called the guy a cracker. The guy called him a nigger. And then he said, ooh, you called me that, I'm telling. So as far as I'm concerned, I told this guy this, and we actually haven't spoken since, and that's fine. I said, well, if anything, I think you should get suspended. What, are you serious? Did you hear what he said? Yeah, I heard what he said, but you started it. So it behooves you, if you are somebody who can't take being called that, to not call someone else something that exists in a parallel equilibrium in terms of the realm of insults. Right? They're both insults directed, racially motivated insults. Right? So if you can't take what you could probably forecast would be his response, then why would you provoke it? For example, if I go to a bar, right, and there is a man who, let's say, is a UFC fighter. Let's say it's fucking Brock Lesnar. And he and I get into a disagreement. And he's like, come on, I'll wrestle you right now. I'm going to say no. Why am I going to say no? Because he is superior to me in that discipline, meaning I have a weakness when it comes to wrestling someone like Brock Lesnar. So I'm not going to fight him on the grounds where I would lose. Right? So if you are somebody who cannot take being called names, I would suggest you don't call people names. That's all. But anyway, so that's the game, though, right? They're provoking these black people to say these things so that they can offend massive amounts of white people who see this. As of this point, 577,000 people have viewed this video. And if they respond in kind, obviously, I would wager all of these people on this panel would immediately get offended. They'd be crestfallen. They'd probably be crying and talking about systematic racism, and they wouldn't be able to work. They'd be traumatized, even though they provoked 100% of it. And what does the white liberal get out of that? Well, the white liberal gets to say, see, I told you racism exists. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when, in fact, the only reason it exists is because they make it exist. And that's just one man's opinion. You can take it for what you will. But let's jump back in.
What are white people superior at?
Man.
You have a bunch of people, different types, a very eclectic bunch of people with flummoxed looks on their face, like they're being asked to solve, I don't know, some kind of terrible math equation. All right, continuing.
Oh, God.
What are white people superior at?
They just keep talking. Mostly about their pets.
White people love their dogs. Like, that's all you see. Cats, letting them get on your countertops while you're cooking. Yes. I get that you love your pet, but, like, you need to take it everywhere? Like...
Okay. And right away, we don't really understand the question or the spirit of the question, as we're just delving into stereotypical behavior. Now, as it stands, I don't totally disagree with some of the things being said here. I don't understand kissing dogs. I hate seeing people bring their stupid fucking dogs everywhere. And usually it's white people doing this. So I understand this. I commiserate with this. It annoys the shit out of me. But that's not necessarily the question. We're kind of devolving into stereotypes. But let's keep moving.
Everywhere? I guess, hey, emotional support animals, I guess.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Fuck, man, like making cereal.
Casseroles.
What kind of casserole?
Tuna. It's always tuna. What do you mean? It's always tuna.
Using mayonnaise in a lot of their recipes.
Making bland food.
Unseasoned chicken.
How you gonna start whole spice wars and don't even use seasoning on your food? I mean,
Okay, so I'm not going to touch the casseroles thing, but as far as unseasoned food, I would encourage these people to go to the South. Now, most of them probably wouldn't because they think there's still slavery down here in the KKK. But if they came to the South and tried some cooking down here, that one's easily debunked. But let's move on. Again, but I also want you to notice that we're delving into stereotypes here, right? It's not necessarily... Well, I can't say it's not necessarily what the proctor is wanting, because it is incendiary. And again, if there was a video that said, what are black people good at? And somebody said, oh, eating watermelon, playing basketball, dunking balls, crime, these people would be up in arms. I would laugh my ass off watching this video, but these people would be up in arms. So it is achieving the goal, because when you hear this, I'm not even a white person and I'm hearing this, and immediately the first feeling you get is the thought of reciprocation or retaliation, which obviously is not allowed. Okay, here we go.
what exactly are white people superior at?
Smelling funky.
Santa Claus.
Extreme water sports.
Corn mazes.
White people are great at having fun. That's a function of white supremacy because they just don't have as many stresses as we do.
White people.
I bet you didn't know that if you're a white person going to Six Flags with your family, that's white supremacy. If you're a white man and you're in a bowling league with a bunch of your friends from high school, that is white supremacy, my friend. You are a member of the KKK because you don't have stresses. You don't have stress, so you can't have fun. That is white supremacy, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's keep moving. Look, not for nothing. I don't think there's anything on here that tops that, but let's just keep going.
Very superior at their privilege and utilizing it. We do not have the privilege to do whatever and however we want to.
Did anybody order a Diet Dr. Pepper? No? Okay. Just got a little sweet in here. Okay.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Not getting arrested.
I was driving down the street down the highway with a friend of mine who was white. When he was like, I just want to pull over and pee. And I'm in the passenger seat. And I was like, please don't. Because a black man thinks differently. If I pull over to the side of the road and pee, a cop is going to be right behind me to punish me.
What exactly are white people
Public urination is illegal.
superior at?
Insecurity. Pretending.
Fear. Being fearful of nothing. Being ignorant.
Blame.
Letting their ego.
Okay, we're going to rewind this segment and take it to from where it started. And I want you to notice how these segments are kind of parsed out in terms of theme of the answer. So maybe the first one was like goofy little stereotypes. And now we're moving more into, I don't know what you would call this. The idea of white privilege, I guess. But I want you to listen to these answers, because there's something very ironic about all of these answers. All of these answers that are given in this next segment are basically, as far as I'm concerned, they're projections. They are literally 100% projections. They are these people talking about themselves and not even realizing it. But let's continue.
Behind me to punish me.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Insecurity. Pretending.
Fear. Being fearful of nothing. Being ignorant.
Blame.
Letting their egos control their every move.
Privilege.
Privilege. Feeling victimized.
Playing the victim.
Congratulating themselves over shit that they're incompetent at or that should have already been done.
They're superior at being dicks.
Bang. Bang, ladies and gentlemen. 100%. They batted 1,000 with projections there. Especially being fearful of things that don't exist. I mean, you could pick any one of those, right? That was just all low-hanging fruit. Easy kills, if you will. But that was 100% projection. And if you don't think the proctor of this doesn't know that, again, this is my problem with some people and how short-sighted and how tragically naive they are in their thinking. If I am your enemy, right? If I'm somebody who you believe is an enemy, why would you show me your weaknesses? Right? So and again, these people are obviously very emotional people, as most of them are women, and the overwhelming majority of these males are effeminate, if not gay. So these are people who, safe to bet, deal primarily from an emotional spectrum, right? Well, the thing about people dealing from an emotional spectrum is they're easily manipulated. Once you find what their buttons are, which is what these people are basically telling this person conducting this panel, i.e. projection, you're telling, and they put it up on YouTube, so it's all out there for the world to see. So if you believe white people are the enemy, you just gave them the playbook that your offense runs. You showed them how to offend you. So, okay. Anyway, let's keep moving.
Exactly are white people superior at?
Oppression.
Gaslighting.
Lack of empathy.
Intellectualizing oppression.
Did I say oppression?
They're just creatively thinking of new ways of like always staying one step ahead of other people.
Okay. Up until that last one, we continued the projection train. Continuously thinking of ways to stay one step ahead of other people. It's kind of a compliment. All right, let's couple more. I'm starting to get a headache, and I'm running out of Budweiser. Here we go.
If we get rid of slave catchers, then let's just expand the police force. Like, that stuff to me is wild.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Making us believe that we don't matter.
Believing that they're superior.
Feeling superior.
Thinking they're superior.
Thinking that they're superior.
Thinking that they are superior.
Self.
Like Black Lives Matter, but no one else's lives matter. That kind of superiority. Like I can say Black Pride, but you can't say White Pride. That kind of superiority. Like say her name for criminals and say his name for criminals, but Cannon Hinnett, an innocent 5-year-old white boy who was killed by his just so happened to be black neighbor in North Carolina. Nobody knew anything about him until Twitter forced the news to kind of cover it, and they did it in a glancing fashion. That kind of superiority? All right, just asking. Moving on.
Delusion.
Controlling the narrative.
Believing their own press.
Marketing of white superiority.
Whether you are Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're conservative.
You know what's interesting about that last comment by that bull? She says marketing their superiority.
Eighth grade, I remember just having kind of a.
Excuse me, that was a weird thing that just happened. Oh wow, I accidentally hit the forward button, and guess what the next video is? People who menstruate talk to us about their periods. Because that's something that we should know. You know, this is going to make me digress, but this whole notion, these women are just signing themselves up for a life of misery, a lonely life of unfulfillment and misery. Now, the good news is they're pretty much solidifying the feminists of tomorrow's ranks, right? Because that's the overwhelming contingency are just miserable women who were deceived by a previous generation of miserable women into forsaking their natural roles in the name of some kind of oppressive force fighting and some kind of movement that is completely peripheral to the goings-on of society. However, people can, do with their lives what they will. I just think that when these women hit, let's call it 39, 40, maybe a little bit later, because this is a stubborn generation that thinks they're always right, maybe mid-40s, they'll realize that they threw their life away. And then at that point, they'll be enlisting the 20-year-olds of that age and the 19-year-olds of that age. Why? Because misery loves company. Okay, but going back to what I was saying before, that person who said marketing white supremacy, that was very interesting to me because that is literally what all of these people are doing. That's literally what all of these activists do. When was the last time Richard Spencer said anything? I mean, the last thing he said was he was supporting Joe Biden, which surprisingly never got covered. But When was the last time they've ever had to say anything? They don't have to, because there's people with black faces that are saying it all for them. Like, for example, that National African American Museum, whatever, that little horseshit museum that said showing up on time is whiteness, that working hard is whiteness, that delaying gratification is whiteness. If I didn't tell you that came from the National African American Museum, you would say that person is really racist, whoever said that. That white person is clearly a white supremacist. But surprise, it was a black person. And that's who markets white supremacy nowadays. It's very, very interesting. At the prompting of who? White liberals. Okay, let's finish up.
Whether you're conservative, like white people are really good at upholding white supremacy.
How about claiming that, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female?
So what exactly are white people superior at?
Honey, lying, stealing, and cheating.
Manipulation.
Withholding information.
Lying.
Telling lies.
What kind of lies?
The lies of history.
They say that history is written by the victor, but the victor could be replaced by the colonizer.
What are
Okay. And we had two befuddled women there. Number one that conflates history with lies. It sounded like that's what her answer was doing, saying that history is lies. Okay. I'm not gonna bother touching that one because there's no arguing with a person who refutes facts, right? So let's move to the second person who says the victor over the colonizer. Well, see, here's the thing. If I'm a colonizer, meaning I colonize you, guess what I also am? I'm the victor. All right, same thing. Let's move on.
white people superior at?
Conquering.
Imperialism.
Colonizing?
Colonialism.
And by the way, when I was saying marketing white supremacy, here it is. You're superior at beating everybody. You're superior at colonizing, which means I've dominated you. You're superior at dominating the world. Meaning what? You are better. You are supreme, dare I say? Okay, marketing white supremacy. Let's continue.
Colonization. They might be better at that than us and everybody else, really.
They ballsy. They rose up all over the world, and they walk into everybody's house and says, "Oh, this is nice. I'm gonna take your shit," and they have no qualms about it. They can take anything, baby.
What exactly are white people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Violence.
Genocide.
It's like stealing people.
Violence and genocide. Yeah, everybody knows we have to avoid that those inner cities that are dominated by white people. Chicago is definitely a war zone. Everybody's afraid to live in Utah. So, everybody's afraid to live in Utah. Everybody's afraid to live in the suburbs of Montana because of all the gang warfare that's there. Absolutely. Violence. Absolutely. Genocide. Did happen, not denying the Holocaust, but I am simply saying that there were other things going on, and there's also something going on now. Like, we kind of learned from the Holocaust, it's not really happening anymore. It's illegal to deny it in Germany. The world's kind of moved on from that. However, there are still tribes in, somewhere in some African country where, you have child soldiers, little boys that are 6 years old with, Perry Ellis sweatpants and tuxedo shoes, toting AK-47s, fighting over a dirty pond and a deflated soccer ball. So, let's, again, remember what I said about picking the battle that you can win? Okay, let's keep moving.
People's lives just because they feel like it. If you are white and you know this is happening and you say nothing, then you're a killer too. You are adopting a whole philosophy that says it's okay to do this. And part of that philosophy allows you to be ignorant, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't know.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Taking what's not there. Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycatting.
Gentrification.
Appropriating things that do not belong to them.
Taking over other people's cultures and making you believe that they invented it.
Maybe they're thinking of it as repurposing. It's like recycle and repurpose.
As my grandma would say, the white folk, they'll take it if you don't copyright it.
They are very good at destruction.
Okay, but one thing here. And again, we're back on the marketing white supremacy tip here. But who invented the idea of copyright? Literally, who invented copyright? It was a white person. So, okay, bear with me here. Now, if they will just take your shit, regardless. And we've established that they're imperialistic and they're, just terrible people. Why then would a copyright save you? And just food for thought. All right, let's move on. We're finishing up here.
Destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of humanness.
What exactly are white
Humanity.
people superior at?
White people are not superior with anything.
Nothing.
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 There's nothing. Nothing.
I don't believe that they're superior in any way, shape, or form.
Just because our skin color is different, you're no better than me, you're no smarter than me. No superiority there.
If only they believe that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is today's show. Yeah. So check that out for yourself. I will absolutely leave that in the description box. Some of the most inflammatory media that is still allowed on YouTube as of today. I just went on it. It's still there. Somehow that does not violate hate speech or terms of use, but we understand how that game is played, and it's all served, in my opinion, to facilitate racism, because without racism, there's no need for activism. And without racism, there's no need for Democrats. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you today. I will be back at you again tomorrow, so until then, peace and white supremacy.